welcome back to my art channel. In this week's video we are going to talk about tracing and if tracing is okay. So to start this off, I'm just gonna say that this video is kind of inspired, kind of like a response video to Gel Arts and Milana Mill's video about this topic that they posted up on Tuesday. I will leave their links to their videos in the description box below, and please go check them out because they have a lot of really good points and facts and really good art, so go check that out. I will be mentioning some things that they said in their videos, and I will also be adding on to some of the things that they did say. So back to the question, should artists trace? And the very simple reply to that is no. I do not think artists should trace, but just to be clear here, my definition of tracing is to put an image below a paper and then draw exactly what you see underneath the paper. That is tracing. We will be talking about other things, other ways of using images that you find later in this video with example and with art, just to make sure that you guys know the difference and what is okay and what should not be okay. Also, I do not have any grudges or I'm not mad at anyone that does trace, especially young artists that are just starting digital art or any art in general. Because I used to be one of those artists, new on digital media, new on online art communities, and I used to trace. So we will be going through my old DeviantArt page in just a second, but first I just want to show you a very simple explanation of what, as I said, to me is tracing. So as an example, I will be showing you each different thing that I'm going to talk about here, which is tracing, studying, and referencing. So the first up is tracing, which I'm calling bad, because I think it is bad, but I know it's used as a crutch for a lot of digital new beginners artists. So yeah, as I said, I won't be hating on anyone that does this, but I will just show you guys. So this image is just randomly pulled from my Tumblr page, inspirational page, and I will be leaving the link to the artist and the photographer's name in the description box because this is not original mine. But I really like the picture and just the shine of her face and just everything with it. And if I were to trace this, I would just make another layer, like copy the image, have it on very low opacity, and then I will make a new layer on top of that, and then with my brush I would trace every single line that I see. So I would trace around your face, I would trace your mouth. This is very badly done, so I'm really doing it really quickly here. And I would trace your eyes, and you know, like just forward, like I'm exactly copying her face. Now the problem with this is that you're not learning anything. You're just looking at what's underneath and then just lining on top and then thinking you know it. As Milana Mill and Gel Arts do say in their videos, this is a sign of lack of confidence, or that they want to fake their experience and art level. Because it makes you make something that is way above your actual level at that moment, and it makes you feel good. And I know this, as I said, I did used to trace, and we're gonna look at that in a second, but as you see, you don't learn anything, you just do whatever's underneath and you just keep doing it. So I do not recommend doing this at all, anytime. Well, I will say that if you are doing it, it's okay. You can just do it at home, do it by yourself. And I know that kids usually also they do this, they have a comic page, put a paper on top, and they go to the window and they trace on top of it, right? And that's totally fine, like, it's all okay, but you should not go online, post it, and say that it's yours, because it's clearly not. So I did trace over this once before I started recording this video, just to show you guys exactly what I mean. So here I've traced the image exactly, pretty much exactly. And then I've copied this over here so you can see it better. And to me, it lacks a lot of personality and just energy, and it doesn't look good. Like, to a trained eye, you can definitely tell that this is traced. So to make this a little bit more fun, we are going to look at my DeviantArt page from 8-9 years ago when I first started online artist communities, and I had no idea that tracing was wrong. And the first thing I did, well, we'll show it here. I wasn't fluent in English at this point, and there's a lot of spelling mistakes, so just ignore that and ignore all my horrible comments. But I just think this is a very good thing to show because I've been at both sides of this tracing and not tracing thing, and I've improved and I've gotten to a place where I actually am professional and working in the concept art industry. So I guess this was a stepping stone. I don't know when I realized it was wrong, but I did at one point. So the first image I did on DeviantArt was this one, which is very clearly traced from an image. I did before this trace a different artist on DeviantArt that was very popular, and she quickly commented and said, "You're not allowed to do this," and I was like, okay, I'm not allowed to do this. I didn't do that ever again for like other people's original works. But I did use pictures a lot. The other ones here are not traced amazingly. I could draw, and this was my first official drawing digitally of my dad's new Wacom, which was very old now. And all these are traditional. This one I think is traced from a kiwi bird, and I just made like a heart there. These ones are not traced. I think this one's definitely traced from another image that you probably have seen if you've been on the digital art side for a while. And then I wanted to do a comic, which you will see here. And this is a very interesting process. This is why I'm showing you guys this. This first one is not traced, and is very bad. I kind of want to do it again, just for fun, but it is the cover for my comic Running for Knowledge. And I don't know why it's running for knowledge, but she's running to find herself or something like that. God, I don't know. But as you can see, I was hooked on making this one. I would make 3 pages a day, and how would I do this? Of course, I would trace. So underneath all these pictures here, there is an image of a wolf, and I traced on top of it. It's kind of well hidden, but people could clearly see from my page that this is not the level I am at this moment. And I don't know why no one called me out for it, but I did stop eventually, and that's what I'm going to show you. So I think this is the last page where I'm tracing. This is still tracing, and somehow the pause looks horrible. So we'll skip to a point after these where I actually started drawing myself. So you can clearly see the difference between those two things. The coloring in the background, horrible background, is still the same, but you can see that this is no longer as good. And I did this because I wanted to fake that I could do something very well, and I also sped up the process a lot. So yeah, that's my examples of tracing. I also did this on myself. This was a picture of me, and I traced on top of that. And I did that quite a lot, actually. Because I took a picture. If you take a picture yourself, and it's of you, it's okay to trace because it's your picture and it's you. So I don't mind that at all. If you want to practice like that, that's fine. This one's also me. Oh gosh, okay, back to the video. Also, as you probably might have already understood, that this video is going to be a bit lengthy, but I think it's a very good theme to talk about and not rush through, so I hope you guys don't mind a little bit of a long video. So the next thing that I want to show you is the thing that people seem to think is tracing, but it's not tracing and it's better, is studying. So I put like bad and good in front of these things just to highlight it, but this is the good way of tracing, which is not tracing, it's called studying. This is what I recommend for everyone. If you want to use a picture and you want to learn to draw better, have the picture and study it and then draw your own. Never ever have the picture underneath and draw on top and say it's yours. Like that's like no. But if you do it this way, which is the way of studying, you'll learn so much. I promise you, this is the way that anyone does. Like they would study things in real life, or just pictures, which is the easiest way for us digital artists to study. but just to have a picture there and draw it again and then figure out what makes that picture look good. So I'll show you now that the way that you kind of can like see this is tracing is that when you draw on top to kind of try to analyze the picture. That's what I'm trying to say here. So to analyze this one, for example, I would think like, okay, where is the circle? Like it would be somewhere here. And then I will try to figure out how long is it here, and then there's a line here, kind of, here's nose, here's eyes. And I will kind of like figure out what big shapes are in the hair, and so on and so on. So this is a way that you can trace, but of course this is just you analyzing the picture to figure out, like this is like a circle, so we can do that, to figure out what builds up the image. So this is okay, and I've done this before as well. I haven't recorded this, I'm sorry, but I have done this just to show you. This is how I analyze this picture. So I'll hide this underneath so you can see. So I figured out where my circle is so I can copy that when I do it, my actual study, and so on and so forth. And so when I drew this by myself, just looking at the images and studying it again without having a tracing on top, I did this. So as you can see, it's not the same as the image. Like if I put this image underneath my actual art, it's nowhere near, but you kind of see that it's similar. Like it's kind of the same character, but it has more personality, it shows you style more. So doing a study doesn't mean that you have to copy it exactly without tracing. It just means that you're figuring out what makes that image look good, and then you draw it. But again, as in tracing, you should never ever post this online and claim it's yours. You can post it online and claim it's a study from this picture or this artist. So just remember that. Never claim studies as your own. Also, it's really good when you are doing studies to maybe, let's see if we can do this again, paint it. So that's what I did here. I took my study drawing, which is this one, and I put colors underneath, and I blocked in the colors, and I started painting it a little bit. So you can clearly see it's referencing or studying that picture, but it's not traced. So this is a good way of learning. This is a very good way of learning. So whenever you find a picture that you like, do it this way. But we are now going to look at the last thing that many people think is wrong, which is not wrong at all, which is referencing, which is the best way to ever use images that you find online in your own work. So I will show you now referencing. So I have the same picture as I've used on all the other examples, but I've also pulled some other ones of bees, and then I don't know why I have this one, and then a girl smoking, and then this one. Just like random images I found on my Tumblr feed, just because that's simple. And the way to use references. Actually, I think people actually mix up referencing and studying. They think referencing is studying, and it's wrong. But it's not. Studying is good, but you can't claim it as your own art. I know that people that do traditional art, traditional paintings, they do take pictures and they do paint that picture. And that's completely fine because they've taken that picture themselves, and that's completely fine. But I wouldn't say that if you take a picture from a celebrity, for example, and you drew that celebrity without tracing, but just drew it like that picture, it's studying to me. That's just my opinion, but that is studying. So referencing is something that every professional artist do. As a professional, which sounds weird to say, I do work in a concept art studio, and I know that every single artist do find references. If you don't find references, you won't have any ideas of what to design. So it's a very, very important part of the designing process. So when I have this image here, I am looking at different things that I like and different things that I want to use. So I will mash these things together and create a whole new image. This is kind of called stealing like an artist. There is a book about this, but you do steal certain parts of the images, but you merge them together with your own style and your own imagination, and you create something new. It's not all from the top of their head. It's not going to work like that, and you're not going to be able to, like, it's not important to be able to draw something without looking at a reference or studying it. So just keep that in mind. So when I have my reference pictures here, I am looking specifically at, I really like her hands here. I'll lower the opacity so you can see what I'm doing. I really like her hand and the smoke, and really cool, but I really like her face, this face, and her hair, eyebrows, and just like the shine that she has. I find really interesting. Of course, flowers and bees, you can copy, referencing, tracing as much as you like because it's nature. Well, I wouldn't say tracing, actually I take that back. Don't trace it, but do study it and you can use it directly because it's nature and nobody can copyright nature. This one I don't know why I have, I don't end up using this. But I will now show you guys an illustration of what I did when I combined these things and changed the pose of the girl that I like, put in some things from the smoking girl, and put in bees and a lily. So, while you're watching the speed paint of the reference illustration created by the references, I just wanted to talk a little bit about different things that Gel Arts and Milana Mill mentions in their videos that I just want to talk a little bit more about, I guess. So the first thing is that I did talk to them, and it seems like I'm a little bit confused about certain things, and that was specifically about tracing and what is tracing. And I did clear this up with them, and we did figure it out, so no hard feelings or anything. We're quite on the same page. But it seems like I kind of understood tracing, and that's why I'm explaining in this video different types of tracing, or tracing, studying, and referencing, the difference between those three, and what's actually being used in the professional world, because Milana Mill and Gel Arts mentions that professionals do this, and when I talked to them, they cleared this up, that professional as in maybe illustration or something else like that, which makes more sense to me, because you could get an image of a pet and you have to paint that pet, you will kind of trace it sometimes, but they do agree that tracing generally creates kind of a stiff artwork, so if you're gonna trace something, please study it instead, and that will create a much more unique piece and much more closer to your original style. So the thing that they mentioned in the video is that professionals use it, and that was the one thing, but I think I kind of misunderstood that concept art use tracing, and that is very, very false. As a professional in a studio, we have a moral obligation, or obligation in anything, to not use copyrighted images in our works, because the studio is going to get in very, very big trouble. What they were thinking about Gel Arts and Milana Mill was mostly about photo bashing and how environments use different photos in the same picture to create a new environment, and when this is done very well, it's very good, and new artists and beginners should not try to do this because it is their techniques and they probably have paid to use these images in their work, and it's all completely fine. But if you are a beginner artist, you should start with the fundamentals and learn perspective, learn how to draw properly, and do all of these things before you start photo bashing, which is what it is, and not tracing, because photo bashing just skips the fundamentals, and you have to have a good eye and good fundamentals to understand what makes a good photo bashing image. So that out of the way, when it comes to character design, tracing anything is a big no-no. So if you are tracing something, you're probably not gonna get work in the concept art industry, because they will tell when things are traced. But if you study it and referencing it, that's the way to really get better and really create something unique. So we always have a full page of reference pictures when we are designing, and we pull different things from the different images and we create a new costume, and that's how it works. So steal like an artist, do not trace. Also, another funny thing that they mentioned that it's not a reality in my studio at least, is that we work closely with lawyers to make sure we don't infringe on any copyright claims, and that is false in our case at least, for concept artists, because it's super expensive and they just trust us in general to not do this. And we do take care that if we see anyone that actually uses some kind of logo or images that we do recognize, we tell them, say, you have to blend this, merge this, blur it out so you can't recognize the image. So that's very, very important. So Gel Arts and Milana Mill have two very, very great videos about tracing, so please go watch them anyway, even if you watched mine, because they have certain things that I haven't fully talked a lot about because they really cover it in their videos, so go watch them as well. So now I'm probably done talking about what they talked about, and I wanted to talk more about the image that I'm creating and referencing for. So I just want to say that I don't think I mentioned when I was showing the study part and the tracing part, is that when you are referencing, it's very good to first study the images that you want to reference, because understanding the images before you use them as a reference is the best way to improve and actually make it work. So you can't, for example, if you are a beginner artist, maybe doing something like you see I'm doing, where I'm stylizing the hair and the angle of the face is not directly studied or copied from one of the other pictures, it's very important to start tracing, or, well, not tracing, but studying other pictures and other faces of real life people, and just get your skill level up, because that's all it's about. It's about practice and repetition and understanding. And I can, if you guys want me to, do another video about fully how to study and how I study, because this is very brief and I didn't record my study process. So if you want to see that, I'll make another video that's a little bit more in-depth. Also, another thing that you will see in the speed paint that might have been paused now, but I did actually exactly trace in this image, and that is because I did two different illustrations for this. The first one was when I was very tired and it was late in the night, and I actually started painting it, and I realized how much I don't like painting anymore. Well, I do like it, but it's just so time consuming, and I didn't like, my piece that I created was very flat and it didn't have any emotion that I did want in it. So that's why I drew it again, and you can see at some parts in the speed paints that I've had my art that I did do the night before on the side or underneath, where I'm tracing the flowers just because I didn't want to draw them again. So tracing your own work is totally fine, just to save time, because sometimes you don't want to draw the flowers again because it was time consuming. So just, that's a little side note for you guys, that if you do it yourself, you take your pictures yourself, trace away. So yeah guys, that is all for this week. I hope you guys like this little different video, Friday video. Usually I do only art full speed paint on Fridays, but I haven't been able to do Tuesday tips in a while, and I thought this was a good mix with art and also art tips. So I hope you guys liked it, and just for your information, the next 2 weeks I will not be doing Tuesday tips because I am traveling home to Norway for my summer vacation, and I'm not gonna be able to do Tuesday tips, but I will be able to do my Friday videos, so don't worry, there will be a video every week anyway. If you have any more questions about tracing or this, and if anything is unclear, please comment in the comment section. I always reply to the comments. I hope you enjoyed this really long video, but with a lot of information and art. And if you like it, you can like it. If you like these kinds of videos and you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe, because I do videos every Friday and sometimes Sundays. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend with sun or drawing or anything that you want to do, and I will see you guys next week. Bye bye!